Okay, now color coding is a method used within gang stalking. An individual will see people following them. It can be a specific color, such say green, blue, red. Is that yellow? Yeah, it's yellow. Yellow, white. Usually it's red. Usually if somebody is being gang stalked, it's the color red. That's a universal color. White and black, yes, but red more and more is being, it just happens. People get gang stalked and they see people with red shirts following them. So once somebody becomes sensitized to the color red and they've experienced themselves being followed repeatedly by the individuals living around them, by their coworkers, by whoever they come across, family members, peers, friends. If you go to a church service, it can be people there. Once you get used to that, then usually what will happen is the red will get used with other messages. So you'll be getting gang stalked by people using the color red at a constant rate. Then oftentimes the people who are overlooking the gang stalking, they will look to pattern that color with something specific. So it can be an object, it can be a location, it can be a person, it can be a variety of things. Say you like a certain basketball team, right? So they may get people or find somebody specific or a general kind of person that you might not get along with, right? Like say you used to work with some guy named Dan and you and Dan didn't get along. They'll find somebody who looks like Dan, give them a red shirt or a red hat or something, and have that person doing assignments on you. It'll be tweaked out in a psychological way. Again, when you're coming from the confusion stage of gang stalking, you might not really notice the red at first. You might just know you're being followed, you're being watched. You may be being drugged. You may be having electronic weapons used against you, yada, yada, yada. But then once you notice the patterns, the color coding, you notice the mimicking at street theater, that's when it really goes into focus, because at the same time that you're learning about your environment and what gang stalking is, the people who are gang stalking you are learning from you what to do to you. So they're constantly observing you and watching you and looking for new methods to gang stalk you with, at the same time that you're learning from your experience of what is going on. So that's the interesting thing about the color coding phenomenon, is it always switches. Yeah, they can keep using red, or they'll go to blue or green or yellow or purple or orange or magenta. I mean, they can come up with some really interesting stuff. And then if the color doesn't have any inherent meaning, then they'll try to move the color to new, try to assign it to a certain what it means to you, to a certain image of what it means to you. And if you have to think about it realistically, if you're going to gang stalk somebody and you want to use a color to get the person familiar with the color and continue to gang stalk them, well, why not use every color in the book? That way, no matter what the person sees, they feel gang stalked. So then you have a series of general assignments. But then on the same token, there's a lot of people who will be seeing people wearing colors that might not ordinarily be there to gang stalk them anyway, but they're so sensitized to it, then they naturally give the color a certain meaning. When the color inherently doesn't mean anything, you give it the meaning because you put a negative connotation on it because of your experience of the gang stalking. Now, a lot of people will run in the direction of mind control, and I think I'd have to agree. If you can allow a color to change your perception of life, your mind is being influenced. But to the general people who go through gang stalking and talk about gang stalking, I would say there's a lot of different forms of influencing somebody's mind. And then if you could say there is an actual mind control, because from my research into the phenomenon of mind control, true mind control is when somebody wakes up, at a hospital and they're handcuffed to the railing and they're told they just assassinated somebody and they don't know it, they don't remember it, they can't recall it, but it's on videotape and all this stuff. That's true mind control. True mind control is a whole different level in the way it's presented. But yes, people can be influenced greatly. But as far as the colors go, you can't really give a color. My advice to people who go through gang stalking would be, what's a color? A color doesn't mean anything. You have to think not with your mind, but think for your mind. Because your consciousness is constantly picking up on the environment around you. And the way people try to influence you has nothing to do with them. It's what you make of it. Gang stalking relies on illusion. The mind is so powerful, it can do anything. The attempt of the people gang stalking an individual is to try to use their own power against them. That's what it's all about. So getting into the color coding with the mimicking and the street theater, it gets really advanced. It could take you into a deeper look into psychology and the psychological makeup of individuals and how the subconscious. I'm going to bring somebody back. Whoever's listening, I'm going to bring it back. The subconsciousness is consciousness, but the subconsciousness is a little bit more powerful than the consciousness. So a lot of the things that happen through gang stalking, people will try to reach you through to your subconscious, through the assignments, different sorts of stuff. But then again, a lot of the people, I think, orchestrating this stuff, I don't think they really know too much about psychology or occult science. I think a lot of the time, these are just things that are scripted and they're handed down. They're techniques that have been worked on by other people in the past, or it's new things they're learning, or people are telling them to try new things. I think the individuals doing the individuals that you see on a daily level, I don't think they would have too much knowledge of what the overall. They may be told what certain things mean, but then again, the lie is different at every level anyway. I don't think their psychology is strong enough to network a system that's sophisticated. I don't believe that. I'm an esoteric researcher, a veteran esoteric researcher. I've studied deep psychological operations, intelligence operations for many years. And when I look at the people who are into gang stalk, I can tell by looking at them that they wouldn't have the input to orchestrate something like that. I can tell it's coming from a much different level.